In today's Leeds news, Hugo Bueno update, Van der Huill says goodbye, Norwich open to selling Rowe, interest in Bruno, and Whites face battle to keep Wober. Morning folks, Jay here, Wednesday morning the 7th of August with your Leeds United news. Hope you're having a good week so far. There's a little bit of news floating around. Also, just a reminder, if you haven't seen it, we did a interview last night with Kerr Maguire, the football finance expert, around Leeds' PSR situation, the Red Bull investment, and where is the money from Chris Somerville and Red Bull, and why is it not being spent. It's a very interesting conversation. It breaks down how the structure of the deals are done, and you can get a pretty good idea of actually how much available cash Leeds have. You can see it'll be linked at the end of this video, or you can check it out in the timeline as well if you want it. But let's crack on and get into the news, and we'll start off with an update around the Hugo Bueno rumour that came out earlier this week. According to Kyle Newburn from the Yorkshire Evening Post, he states that Leeds' interest in the Wolves fullback is real and is a genuine interest in the player. However, Leeds may have suffered a blow in trying to bring the player in that Daniel Farkas sees as cover and competition for Junior Firpo. The report suggests that Wolves have no interest in selling the player during this window and are not open to a loan move either. The Athletic reported that there are difficulties with the move, with Wolves thought to have no interest in selling the player and no interest in loaning the player out, who is seen as part of Gary O'Neill's plans for next season. Celtic and Feyenoord were also said to be interested in the player, Celtic looking at a permanent move for him, but Wolves' current stance is that the player is not available at all unless they can strengthen in the fullback areas. Wolves don't have a massive amount of cash floating around at the moment, so unless Wolves can replace him with another player or bring a player in that's deemed as being ahead of him, it's unlikely that the player will move. A late move could happen should the player push for a move. He is said to be keen on minutes and is playing second fiddle to Ait Nouri at the club right now. He might want to move. At that point, Wolves might look at bringing in another player, and at that point, late in the window, he may become available for a loan. But right now, it's said to not be on the table. An exit of the player is not going to happen, as he is very much in Gary O'Neill's plans for next season. Moving on to a player who's exited Leeds during the summer, and Leeds released their retained list at the back end of the season, and then there were a couple of sales that went along with that. One was goalkeeper Chris Klassen that we heard of, but a goalkeeper that may have slipped through the net from an informational perspective from Leeds fans is backup goalkeeper Danny Van der Huill, who was released at the end of the season. Van der Huill has taken to Instagram to thank the fans for their support and say goodbye to Leeds United as he moves on from a club that he described as feeling very much like home. Van der Huill has been at Leeds for a considerable amount of time and was a regular under-21 goalkeeper, displacing Chris Klassen at certain points during his time in the under-21s as well. His exit piece reads as the following: arriving at 17, away from home for the first time and living abroad. 4 years ago I signed my first contract. From the first moment I stepped inside the training ground and the stadium, it felt like home. The people at the club, the amazing Leeds fans, full of passion, always giving their maximum energy and helping me settle in. It made the move so much easier. I am grateful to everyone that I came across. My time at Leeds has come to an end. I want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. It's time for a new adventure and a challenge, and I'll keep pushing myself to reach my limits in every possible way. Danny Van der Huill was a nice lad, conducted himself very well at the club, and we wish him all the very best in his future endeavours and in his search for a new club moving into this season. Moving on to a story that's been floating around all week, and this is the pending possible incoming of Jonathan Rowe from Norwich City, according to reporter Graham Bailey. So pinch of salt territory here, but there is some also news coming from Graham Smith around this, and we'll juggle the both of these together. Both of them are saying that a deal for Jonathan Rowe could very well be done by Leeds. Graham Smith reckons it will be done, and Graham Bailey reckons it will be done, but they're differing on price structure on this. Leeds have had a £7 million bid for Jonathan Rowe rejected, but apparently the news has come out that it wasn't necessarily rejected on the fee, but more so the structure of the payments of the deal. The clubs are said to still be in contact with each other, and Graham Bailey has said that Leeds could get a deal done for in and around £10 million. However, Bailey says that the conversation around Jonathan Rowe came up during negotiations with Gabriel Sara. We also have heard that Leeds never contacted Norwich around Gabriel Sara, so Where that's come from is unlikely to be true, but remains to be seen if that is the case. But basically what he is saying is Leeds could get a deal done for in and around £10 million. Rowe himself is said to be very open to the move, and at 21 years of age there is a significant resale value should Leeds bring him in, it go well, and if Leeds are ever in a situation where they need to sell talent moving forward, you've got a player there that would represent some sellable asset in the future. Graham Smith on this reckons Leeds could get a deal done between 10 to 15 million pounds. But he also says that he reckons Leeds will get this deal done, which is good news for everybody at Leeds. Now, there are conflicting rumours around what that means for other players in the club, but right now it's about replacing Crescencio Somerville. I personally believe Crescencio Somerville is being replaced by a player already in the squad, and that we'll see a different profile of player come in, maybe as well as Jonathan Rowe. And if you want to figure out how that 25 million Creed breakdown worked, you can check out the interview with Kieran Maguire as well, and it's kind of alluded to in there how those transfers break down. But it's one to keep an eye on. It is still rumbling on. It will likely go into the weekend now, but we've seen this before with Jayden Bogle. There's a bit of initial news, then it goes really quiet, and then we see it happen. So we'll keep an eye on it and we'll keep you updated on it. Another player that's been linked with Leeds United is coming from Germany, and according to Florian Plettenberg from Sky Germany, Leeds are said to be one of several clubs interested in Freiburg defender Bruno Ogbus. Plettenberg says that Leeds and Nottingham Forest are the two front-running clubs for the Freiburg defender, but have a bit of a battle on their hands if they want to get the deal done. Last week, Plettenberg said that AC Milan had a bid rejected for the player that was believed to be single-digit millions in value. Freiburg themselves see the player as a top young talent and will give him minutes next season in the Bundesliga should he still be at the club. As I said, Freiburg have rejected the offer, but they may be open to a loan extra for the club for the player should minutes be given to the player and helping in his development, which is very unlikely from a situation that Leeds are in. He would likely come in as part of the squad and have to compete for time in the squad. But right now, it's very much just a rumour coming from Florian Plettenberg. We'll have to keep an eye on that. He's not been 100% accurate on all of his detail recently, but we will keep an eye on that and give you more information of that as and when we happen. It's another defender. It's a young defender. I think if you look at the profile that Leeds have right now, a young defender is probably what they're looking for, to add a little bit more cover with the odd game here and there, but not a mainstay in the team. Leeds are filling the gaps left by the exits of likes of Charlie Creswell and trying to fill a fullback gap as well on the left hand side. So more information on that as and when it happens, but right now very much rumour territory, and I would block it off as that right now. And then moving on to the final story of the day, and this is another one that relates to Max Verber, and Team Talk reckon Leeds will have a significant battle on their hands to keep Max Verber during this summer's transfer window. Wober has been continually linked with a return to Mönchengladbach, where he was on loan last season, and Sporting Director Verkis keeps mentioning the possibility of a Verber return and his name in press conferences when he gets a chance, despite the fact there is no offer from Gladbach on the table for Leeds United. Verkis says that maybe Verber won't be used by Leeds United next season and Leeds will look for a different kind of player and won't have Verber in their plans, and at that point the player would become available for them to make a move for him. Verber has featured in friendlies for Leeds United so far in pre-season. He did come on against Valencia to a mixed reaction and is likely to be in the squad for the opening day of the season against Portsmouth, but his future is very much in the dark, and that noise continually coming from Germany may become a distraction for Leeds United. The possibility of Verber going on strike in order to force a move is incredibly unlikely, given that when Willy Gnonto did that last year, Leeds dug their heels in and waited out the player in that situation. So that looks unlikely, but Daniel Farke has also said that an unhappy player is not welcome around the training ground, and should Verber cause some problems behind the scene, not to say that he has in any way whatsoever, but if it was the case, then it's likely Leeds would look to sell the player should a club give them the valuation that Leeds want for the player. It should also be said that Gladbach don't have an awful lot of money right now, and they favour a loan move for the player. You're getting into similar territories as we had with Diego Llorente, where Roma took the player initially on loan with an £18 million option to buy, didn't exercise the option to buy, got him on loan again the following season, and then negotiated another option, which again they didn't take up. Gladbach had an option last year with Verber, didn't take it up because they couldn't afford it, wanted to renegotiate with Leeds, who wouldn't renegotiate that. The player has come back, they want him again, but they're unwilling to pay Leeds' asking price for the player, so a loan move is what they want, and Leeds, I would be shocked if Leeds sanction a loan move for Max Verber away from the club unless there was an obligation to buy for the player. Ideally in Leeds' situation, should Verber leave, It's a permanent move. Should he stay, Leeds hang on to a very, very solid defender who will be a very big player at this level, but will have to force his way into the Leeds United side. And for me, isn't guaranteed any starting place and will have to work, same as Brendan Aronson, will have to work to get into that team, as every other player coming into the squad will have to do. Fair across the board from a Leeds United perspective. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. You can check out the Kerr Maguire interview down below, about 30 minutes. The first half of it very much worth watching. Second half of it relates to the future of PSR and Premier League ownership and American ownership in the Premier Division. But if you want to check that out, it might calm some nerves a little bit. It might not. Go check it out if you want to. I'm back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Enjoy the rest of your day and I'll talk to you then. See ya.